Okay, this is the second clip for the video. I've been out here for 6 months. It's now middle of November. This is 2017. I officially started work in El Paso the first day of May, but I was out here for about a week before that getting things set up, and then prior to that I did a couple of trips bringing stuff out here, and prior to that I camped out here a couple times. So on the outside, this is kind of where I eventually will build a shop, but in the meantime it's an outside working area. Made a couple workbenches. Sometimes I eat my breakfast out here. On the inside, and I'm making this as much for myself, but I am going to share it on YouTube. Just this is kind of what it's like after I've been out here 6 months, so that in the future I can look back and say, oh well, that's when that was built. Okay, driver's seat covered in everything, and this is just the way it is. I thought about cleaning up a little bit, but why bother? So on one side, close the door, keep the bugs out, and whatever. This was my main video editing workstation when I was in Austin. I used it out here for a while, but it uses a lot of power, and so you needed to run the generator for a long period of time. Dual 24-inch monitors. I've got a Dell, actually a workstation class computer, which means something, but hard drive tower there. And since I don't use it, like every other flat spot, it's just covered in normal stuff. Since it's November, it's getting cold, so I dug out my heaters. When I had the generator running, I ran this for a while this morning. It takes the chill off pretty nice. Normally for heat, let me get this propane heater. Mr. Heater, Buddy Heater is what they call it, a propane heater. Uses the small propane canisters. I can get several days off a canister, and I don't run it continuously, so it's probably longer than that. This is my laptop station here. This is where I spend most of the time. The chairs, these are the ones I had in Austin. These are leather bucket seats that actually came out of a Mercedes. I bought them on Craigslist, $100 for the pair. And then I put the casters and the 1x4s on them to hold them up. Works great, very comfortable. So this is where I spend most of my time if I'm sitting. I got the laptop, it's got a docking station, so I've got 3 laptops that are all Dells, and depending on what I'm doing, I just grab the other laptop and put it here, click it into the docking station. The power adapter, the keyboard, and the trackball just stay here, and then I can do what I'm doing, and if I need to change what I'm doing, I just grab the other laptops. So one is Windows 10 and the other 2 are Linux, based on what I'm doing. Up here's my stereo and my switch box. The switches are hooked up to the main battery bank outside through that attractive red and black wire there. Oh, I should probably turn on focus here. Better? So I can turn on lights and check my battery level. 13.5, that's pretty good. I've got a fan. Compressor turns on the stereo, and then more lights. I also am using this hacked flashlight. I did this when I was in Austin. I put a power jack on the side of the flashlight. Then I've got the 18-volt batteries. The same battery that runs my cordless saws and one of my drills. And then that switch comes out and goes through a dimmer, and then it comes to these light strips, like so. I actually had too much light, so I cut 2 of them. What's nice about that is if my battery system is flaky, I can at least get lights to work in here. Plus, because it's a flashlight, the flashlight still works. So that's kind of a separate light circuit just for that, and I get a few days out of that, then I just recharge it, and that's the same battery that I use on the other tools, so it's easy. Let's see, these shelves I built, it's a OSB sheet of wood cut into 3 equal pieces. That's 16 inches by 8 feet long. And I mentioned this earlier, and there was a video on this, that metal bracket is part of one of the bus seats. So there's 3 brackets per shelf. I made 3 shelves. So I used 1 full sheet of OSB, and each bus seat has that one piece one time. So I used 9 seats, cut 1 leg off of each seat basically for that bracket. So essentially that was a free bracket, except it took a lot of time figuring it out and cutting it. But anyway, I didn't have to pay for the bracket. This is an LED light. Used to use that as my kitchen light in Austin. It works pretty good. I very seldom use it out here because it's too bright and it attracts bugs like crazy. So it is a nice light, I just don't use it very much. We'll go down one side and come back the other. One of the speakers for the stereo. My 3D printer is still in the box. I just haven't needed it, and the amount of space it uses up and the amount of power and the time, for now it's there. It is something I really want to get using again. Flight helmet, spaceship props, that kind of stuff. This is a roll of bubble wrap insulation that is very good. It's very thin. It's a 100-foot roll, or it used to be. Silver mylar on one side and white on the other. This was a little bit harder to find. I actually bought this one off of eBay. I knew it, or not eBay, Amazon I think I found it on. If you go to the hardware store, they've got silver on both sides. It'll work the same, but this is just nicer to look at. So, and I got 100 feet of it. So, this wood thing used to be an entertainment center. I found it next to the dumpster in Austin. It's a nice shelf or a stand-up workbench or a place to put stuff now. In the middle of the bus is where the wheel humps are for the main back wheels. That's always an awkward place on a bus conversion. This just happened to fit over that, so that's just where they stay. Spare computer parts, a couple stools, the tripod, odds and ends all get jammed in there. Sometimes it's fun to go play around, so I bought 4 of these. They're all identical. The reason for buying them initially, it wasn't that I really wanted a really cheap, crappy RC car. It's more that I wanted the tires and the drive and stuff for it. That's robot parts for later. These turned out pretty good though. They're got nice, soft, squishy tires, and they do really work fairly well. About 25 bucks a piece, so I got 4 of them. One of the things I want to do is put a little camera on that and then drive it around. It'd be some fun, you know, footage. Everybody else has drones, but I'm going to have this little thing driving around on the ground. Okay, from here back is storage. Little plastic drawers. I had a bunch of these white plastic shelves. I've been taking them apart as I build better shelves. Tools. And more tools and more tools. I got more than 20 of these plastic totes in different spots. I just built this shelf here 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, because I needed something heavy duty for storing tools and heavy things. So I built that, studs and OSB again. And it's got enough room underneath that I can put totes, and also jammed away back in there at the moment. Here's my welder. And I've got a metal cutting shop saw that's in some other videos, and some other metal working stuff. This is not well optimized yet. These lights I talk about sometimes. Walmart, about $2 or $3 a piece. It's got 2 settings, so you can turn the front light on or the end light. They've got a little magnet on them. They got a hook. Something just fell. That's kind of weird. And they stick to the ceiling. most people, when they do a bus conversion, they put wood on the ceiling, which would make it a lot more comfortable. It would be better insulator and makes it look a lot less like a school bus. However, I love the fact that I can stick magnets just anywhere. So that's that. When I got the welder, I got a bunch of metalworking stuff like these magnetic clamps. And again, because it's a school bus, I can just stick them to the wall and they stay there, which is pretty nice. And you can use that to hang things. Power tools need batteries, so this was the first shelf that I built just to get the batteries up out of the way. They're on their own power strip, so I can turn them off when I don't need to charge them. And this is the same battery that is on that flashlight that runs the light up in the front. So I've got 4 of these, 3 chargers, and then 1 big charger plus a couple more for 12 volt. So I can charge these off of the truck if I want to. This is awesome. It's a 12 volt fridge slash freezer. It looks like a cooler, but it could actually make ice. By the time I got around to buying it, it was just before it cooled off. So like now, like last night, it was in the 30s. So I don't really need to make ice at the moment. But definitely good for the summertime. And then below it is the deep freeze that I bought when I first came out here. When I was running the generator a couple hours a day, this is one of the reasons I was using it. It's not a very big freezer. It's hard to get a scale on it, but maybe 2 feet wide kind of thing. It's not very big, but it's perfect for here because it fits into that amount of space. But I could keep, I'd mix up a gallon of Gatorade or whatever, stick it in there, and go out and dig a hole and come back, and it was nice and cold, which is important. I mean, if you're out in the desert with no power, having a generator and a freezer really makes things a lot nicer. Okay, now we're at the back of the bus. Oh, this was one of my classic blunders. Ventilation was huge out here in the summer. You're in a metal tin can, and you can just feel the life getting sucked out of you. So every morning I'd get up, I'd start the generator, I'd open the back door, tie it open with the cargo strap, and let the wind blow through, which brought in all the bugs, and the dust would just blow in here. So I thought, okay, I got to get rid of the bugs. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if I had a screen door on the back? And I actually thought about opening the door and then building a screen door inside and then be able to close the door, and that seemed like too much trouble. So I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I can just take out that back window. Well, I did actually break the window, so I can't put that one back in, but I was able to tape and screw the screen in so that it seals well enough that I don't have bugs coming through there. And the week after I did this is when I got the first rain. Before that, I hadn't seen rain out here, and I had no idea what the rain would be like. So then I'm frantically trying to figure out how to cover the window that I just knocked out. And so I went through a few versions. I used some of that white bubble wrap, and then tape, and then finally did this piece of OSB. Now the OSB, if you see that line, there's a hinge halfway up, and so I can open it and let the air flow through and then drop it down again. That's not perfect, but it works for now. So, moving on. Freezers. Okay, the first 6 feet or so is what I call the tinker space. Eventually will be a workbench that I can use for tinkering, inventing, building stuff, little stuff. So I've got another chair back here. This is one of my computer chairs. Like so. It's kind of hard to see because I got so much light outside, but odds and ends, like at the moment, these are charge controllers that I'll use with the solar system. I got water, more water down there, keep the rest outside. On top, more tools and stuff, electronics kind of things. Then from here up, now these I just built, these tables. I had those white plastic folding tables in here, and they were okay but never great. I made these narrower so it gives me a little bit more aisle space. And in this kind of setup, a few inches made all the difference. It really did, because it's literally less than 6 inches smaller, but that's huge in this amount of space. So these are made out of OSB and studs again. Another one of the shelves is here. Same, you know, the bus legs. So kitchen type stuff here, the first few feet, and then it goes back into tools and stuff back there. One of the microwaves, I've actually got two. I bought this microwave specifically for when I brought the bus out here the first time. Well, I brought the bus out here one time, but I drove the bus out, was going to spend a week out here, bought a microwave to leave in the bus so that I had the other microwave back in Austin still. Since then, I haven't really used that, but I think eventually that might end up in the truck. Since I'm in the truck all week, that would be nice to have, just you know, warm up a cup of coffee kind of thing. Let's see, water filters, pitchers, and so on. Instead of, because I don't have running water, I've got the two jugs. So what I typically do is I just fill up a gallon jug of water for, you know, if I'm going to make drinking water, I filter it. The water from town is technically drinkable, but it's got a lot of chlorine taste. So I filter it first, then I make my drinks. I always save my Gatorade bottles and reuse them a few times. 40 something cup coffee maker. If you're going to make coffee, make it right. More speakers. These I made my attractive coat hanger hooks for. When I'm working outside, I can open up one of these windows and hang these speakers outside, and then I can hear them outside really good. And that comes off of the same stereo. So the second microwave, this is, I think, the only, or one of the only plastic shelves that I have left. I had bought a bunch of these when I was in Austin, and then slowly I'm replacing them as I build wood shelves or whatever. And but for here it's good enough. Extra propane down on the bottom. More bathroom kind of stuff. What would be in the bathroom if I had a bathroom? You know, cotton Q-tips and deodorant and stuff like that. Paper plates, food. At the moment it looks like I got no food, but I've actually got a box full that I took to town, or from town. Since I'm spending most of my time in the truck now, I just keep a box of canned food in the truck, and then whenever I go shopping I refill the box. Then when I come home I just bring the whole box in here, and then next time I go to town I buy more food, kind of thing. So I'm not leaving as much out here as I usually would. Yeah, my sock drawer, cardboard box, and then this is my other drawer full of clean clothes. This was the third of the 3 shelves that I made, and it's just all clothes and towels. Goes right above the bed. This is the bed. This was probably my first real wood project out here that kind of turned out the way it was supposed to. It's a memory foam mattress, and just sitting right on top of this shelf that I made out of OSB. It sits up pretty high, and the idea was that I can put a lot of stuff underneath it if I decide to. So at the moment, dirty laundry, I've got a couple totes in there and some other stuff. Let's see. Clean clothes. I do my laundry in town. It makes sense if I'm going to town anyway, instead of me needing to buy a washer and dryer, haul water, and run the generator just to do laundry. If I work in town, I just go hit a laundromat, do my laundry 1 day a week, boom, I'm done. Much simpler. It probably costs me a little bit more, you know, in time and money, but because I'd have to haul my water and run a generator, it actually doesn't make, I don't feel too bad about doing laundry in town. Plus then you can use 2 or 3 washers and 2 or 3 dryers, knock it out pretty quick. I mentioned a can of food. This is all the food for the week. I just throw that behind the seat in the truck and I'm done. That's pretty much it. That gives you kind of an outline of where it's at now. If you watch this, then you watch the other video, you'll kind of see little improvements as we go along. Some things never have changed. Some of my lighting, oh, this was the last part, I guess. This came with the solar panels. I think each kit had 2 of these lights, and they have the wire pre-attached. There's a little switch on that, and it's got to be a 10-foot wire, I guess, at least. It's quite long. So when I first looked at it, I'm like, okay, those are cute. I'm never going to use them, so I put them back in the box and forgot about them. And then a while later, I'm like, oh, let me go plug them and see what they look like. I actually turned out liking them. So, because the bus, I've never really said this is a permanent solution. This is kind of a temporary until I figure out what I want to do next. And I actually thought I would be out of the bus before winter, and I think now I'm going to spend the winter in the bus and then build something more permanent for next year. But anyway, a lot of things are just kind of rigged together just good enough to get me through. And it's only been in the last month or so that I actually took the time to start building, things like the tables to replace the folding tables kind of thing. So I'm kind of slowly bringing it up a little bit, knowing that this is still temporary as far as living in the bus. When I build the tables, I left them common sizes, so I think these are 6 feet long by 24 inches wide. The workbenches outside are 8 feet long. I forget what the shelf in the back was, but I didn't cut something specifically to fit the bus. I tried to keep it more common size, and then I can use it again somewhere else, so that in the future when I build the shop, I'll already have workbenches, that kind of thing. So anyway, things like the lights, I showed you the red flashlights. That was my lights for quite a while. I just stick them to the roof and be done. Then I started with something like this and a couple of the other things, and I'm like, all right, I used some black tape, taped them to the ceiling, and I've got this whole wire gaggle here running across the ceiling now. And I haven't tied into any of the bus electrical systems yet. So all of the lighting and so on that I'm doing is completely separate from the bus system. So I'm not using, for instance, these dome lights. At the moment, I don't think any of them work. I suspect it's a fuse. I just haven't looked at that. It's funny, there's a lot of things that I could make easier on myself. I just haven't taken the time. So because I work, I work more than 40 hours most weeks, and it's a 2-hour drive from here to work. So if I was out here every day, I don't have very much time to screw around. And now I'm not even out here during the day. I just come out on the weekends. So, then I got to look at, well, how can I best use my time? So anyway, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Other videos I've shown the shower setup and a couple things like that. Little creature comforts, but anyway, that's basically it. The 24-inch monitors up there are on a single stand, and this is the second stand. And instead of running monitors here, because I didn't really need them, I put a fan on one, and on the second arm, I got a tripod head here. So on the videos that I did the talking, this is where it's from. And I can move it back and forth, and I can also aim it outside. Oops, hit the light. And so I get a shot outside. There's the solar panels out there. I've used this on a couple shots, like some of the storms. I could just aim it out the window, keep the camera protected inside, and see the storm passing or whatever. I've been out here 6 months now. In a way, it's, the time has gone fast, and on the other side, it feels like, I don't know, it feels like I've always been out here. I think back to Austin. I was in Austin for about 4 years, almost exactly 4 years. And I don't know, I didn't really like it there. I didn't say, oh, I just love living here. I always thought, man, I need to go find somewhere else. But my life every 3 or 4 years I've moved, practically my entire life. Don't really have roots, more of a tumbleweed, pick up and go if I, if I get bored or don't like my job or don't like the city I'm in, I just go find somewhere else. And finally, this year I turned 50 and I thought, wow, I need to come up with some kind of a plan. Now, I'm not saying that I'm never going to leave here, but, since I own the property, I'm still making payments on it, but my plan is to have this as a base that I can come back to. So if I do decide to go travel for 6 months and then come back here, kind of thing, then I have a place to come back to. In the past, when I got that bug where I just wanted to go travel, I would, basically give away most of my things, move out of my apartment, and then just leave, and then come back to somewhere new. I moved to Texas on a motorcycle, and so all that I had fit on the motorcycle. And then somehow 4 years later, it took the bus and 3 truckloads to move everything out here. So in 4 years I've reaccumulated, way more stuff than I need. But now I've got land. I'll just go build a shed and put it out there. So anyway, that's where we're at now. Like I said in the beginning, I'm making this for myself as much as anything. I just wanted to have kind of a reference of how much have I got done in 6 months. There's some things that seem like I got a lot done, and then I look at other things that, I started and I never finished.